All right, hello everybody, and welcome to the next episode of the Inner Mastery Webcast. I was not doing one last week because I was going through a lot of shifts last week, a lot of it being the idea of working together with the youth body practice, and of course many other things as well too. So thank you all for being here today with the Inner Mastery Webcast. So this Friday, there will not be a New Earth Teachings webcast because I'll be on the road. So I'm going to be putting the next New Earth Teachings webcast on the Monday next. So a little bit of rescheduling here because I am going to be traveling. I'm going to be going to Kelowna, BC, and I'm going to be going to Banff, Alberta, doing a little bit of a trip there, personal trip, because I've been so cooped up in my neck of the woods for several months now. So I'm just happy to finally get out there and do a little bit of a summer vacation. So that is where I'm going to be. So again, the Monday after next will be the New Earth Teachings webcast, and then we'll also have another New Earth Teachings webcast on that Friday as well too. So there'll be two New Earth Teachings webcasts as well too, and then the Inner Mastery webcast will happen again in 2 weeks. All right, so hello everybody. Thank you very much for joining me today. Now again, the whole idea of the Inner Mastery webcast is that we do work with practices, we do work with techniques, we do work with guidance and spiritual education, as it's kind of a different format than the idea of the New Earth Teachings webcast. So if you took a look at the video description, today we're going to be looking at the mortal world and perfection. What does that mean? What am I talking about when I'm relating to the mortal world? Well, it goes back to one of my recent videos, actually I would say the most recent video on my channel, as per the airing of this video, which was physical to causal and causal to physical. As I was talking about in that video, is that what many of the ancient masters were able to do is they were able to uncoil themselves and move themselves up into the causal plane and would be able to transcend space and time. Now, this is something that, of course, does take some practice. But what you want to do is, as you start to work together with this series of meditations, is just getting yourself in a sweet state of surrender. Surrendering yourself, bringing a lot of inner peace, a lot of inner love, inward love, and just starting to feel like that's radiating throughout your entire body. And what you do is you start working together with Spirit. You start working together with God. And as you start to build that connection a lot more, you can just tell God, you can tell Spirit to bring yourself up into the causal plane. And as you're up in the causal plane, some of us may see things, or we just primarily feel our body going through a tremendous shift. I was actually just doing this last night as I was speaking to Spirit, and I said, Spirit, bring me up into the causal plane. And I was actually feeling my entire body just shifting. I could feel like a huge vibrational shift taking place. And it was very similar to when I was doing psilocybin, right? Because they would kind of uncoil you and they would bring you up into, here's the astral plane. Then they would uncoil you again and they would bring you up into the causal plane and say, here we are, we're in the causal right now. And your body reciprocates that feeling. You just feel much more lighter. You see all these different types of colors. You're aware of your thoughts a lot more. So as you think a certain thought, there's colors around it and all of that. And I was feeling that. But when I was doing it last night, it was more so just remembering that same feeling when I was being brought up to the causal, when I was doing psilocybin. And so I was up there. And again, as I've been doing the youth body practice now for a week, I was building the youth body in the causal plane, right? So when I'm going up into the causal plane and I'm building the youth body there, that's perfection, right? You're moving into a state of perfection. You're seeing your body as perfect, right? It goes back to what I was sharing in the webcast previously about having, the perfect youth body, is that you are telling yourself, I now realize that within me is a joyful spiritual body that is ever young and ever beautiful. I have a beautiful mind. I have beautiful eyes. I have beautiful nose, ears, mouth, skin. Some people are actually having like stomach and abs. We got to make sure we have nice stomach and abs. Oh, okay. All right. You can have stomach and abs. You guys can have whatever you want in your perfect body. It's your perfect body, right? You make it any way that you wish. And so basically you're just doing this simple affirmation. So let me say it aloud again in case anybody wants to still jot it down. And again, you can look at the recording. So what I do is during the day, I have a 20-year-old version or 20-year-old photo of myself that I use, and I have identified that as the youth body because I'm going back into my 20-year-old self again. Now, some of you may want to go back into a 21-year-old body or an 18-year-old body or a 16-year-old body, right? Or a 30-year-old body. It's all up to you. You guys decide that, right? So you basically create that template, okay? What does your divine youth body look like? So maybe you're going through your old photo albums, right? Maybe you see a really nice picture of yourself. Maybe you have an afro, I don't know. Right? Or you got the curly hair or something like that. Oh, this was like back in the 1980s and it was just before I was doing some disco and oh, okay. Well, if that's your perfect body, go for it. What can I say? Right? Got like the big gigantic afro where you have to kind of like duck into the room and but no, that's cool. Whatever you feel is your divine perfect body. And it's good to have a photo from your past, okay? If not, take something from your memory. If you have a good visual memory, take something there and saying, okay, I remember when I was 18 years old. Now, rather than having this big, gigantic, puffy hair look, I'm going to have my hair straight down or have it a ponytail or whatever, right? You fundamentally decide whatever you deem appropriate for your perfect divine body. Sorry, my printer's going off here. You decide exactly what you prefer. So once you have that picture, right, once you have that visual memory there, you're holding on to it, okay? So you're visualizing it, or if you have a picture directly in front of you, just stare at it, right? And just stare at that younger version of yourself, and you're seeing yourself as that younger version of you, that 20-year-old, that 18-year-old version of yourself. And you keep saying into your mind, this is my perfect youth body. This is my perfect youth body. This is my perfect youth body. And what you do afterwards is once that image, whether it's in your memory or whether it's in a photo, once that's fully embedded in your mind, you're now just seeing your body as that version of yourself in the photo or in the visual memory. So when I'm driving my car, for example, I'm constantly visualizing my 20-year-old body driving the car, right? So I got the blonde hair and I got the, I'm not going to put my hair back to blonde again, but on that picture, I'll see if I can pull it up for you guys. Maybe I can find a way to pull it up here on the camera, or I think what I'll do instead is just add it. I have the picture here of my 20-year-old self, and I think it's best if I just show it that way. You guys know what I'm talking about if you're not on Facebook and you haven't seen it yet. Okay, just give me a minute here. I'll see if I can pull it up. Okay, so there I am. That is my 20-year-old version of myself. Okay, so that is the photo that I use when I am visualizing myself in the divine youth body. Okay, so yes, I had kind of like the Eminem look back then. I had like the blonde hair, and I had the silver bling chain. That was so cool. So this was 21 years ago. So back in 1999. So yeah, it was all about the bling. It was all about the Eminem stuff. But again, I look all past that. I just see the essence of the youth pertaining to that picture. Right, so getting pretty close. Getting pretty close. So that again, let me just go ahead and remove that now. Yes, okay. So that again is just the example of what I'm using pertaining to the divine youth body. So I am picturing that as I'm driving my car, right? So it's kind of like, we kind of switch into our subconscious. Our subconscious is driving the car. I'm going down a highway, for example, and I just instantly see myself as that divine youth body. And I'm complimenting it and saying, yes, I look ever young. I look ever beautiful. My eyes, nose, mouth, ears, skin, hair, abs, stomach, yes, is all completely beautiful, right? So Slim Shady. Yeah, exactly. So again, let me just repeat the verbatim for you guys. Okay, so now that you have your visual image pertaining to your divine youth body, you'll just state the following affirmation. I now realize that within me is a spiritual joy body. Ever young, ever beautiful. I have a beautiful mind, eyes, nose, mouth, ears, skin. The divine youth body, which in this moment, here and now, is perfect. Okay? So that is the simple verbatim. So I say that, or I say that affirmation verbatim when I go to sleep at night. So just before I go to sleep, I even have it on my wall as well too, in case I forget something specifically. And I just say that to myself before I go to sleep. Now, just as I talked about in the webcast previously, is that the more that you're doing this every night that you're going to sleep, old cells are now being cleansed out of your body, and new cells are being put into your place. Now, the next thing you say when you wake up in the morning, it could even be like at 5 a.m. or 7 a.m. Let's say you're supposed to get up at 8 o'clock and you get up at 6 a.m., right? You can still say this then. It's just until you know you've had some rest. And now you're saying the second affirmation, okay? Second affirmation is very simple, okay? So you're just saying, dear, put your name here, okay? So if it's for me, dear Brad, the divine alchemist is within, all right? Dear Brad, the divine alchemist is within, okay? So it's dear Samantha, dear Elmer, dear Shea, dear Jim, the divine alchemist is within, okay? Simple as that. And what that is that's a confirmation of you being the divine alchemist within yourself. And you are clearing away all of the old cells, old debris that represents the mortal form. So this is what we're getting into, is looking into the mortal world. Now, the mortal world basically represents a world of impurity. Okay, that's really what it is. It's an impure world. It's everything that we have been brought into through the state of belief, of feeling that we are just mortal beings, we're feeble, we're fragile, we're tiny, we can't do anything, right? All of our belief systems, everything that makes up the impurity of the physical world would be seen as the mortal world, okay? This is again what I described in my video relating to physical to causal, causal to physical. So like I said, you transcend the mortal world. You now start to move into perfection, which means everything in your life is perfect. You start seeing other people in their state of perfection as well, too. And I know that's a challenging thing to do, but it's kind of like you're just looking at things as layers, right? It's like layers of an onion, right? Through the very forefrontal layer of the onion, we have the ego. We have the idea of the victim body. We have the idea of the mortal body in that way. But the mortal body is not our true self. It is far from the true self. And what we are doing is we are unpeeling that. We are working every single day. And like I said, this is where the BCR technique and the TC technique come in handy, because we start working with those every single day, and we're peeling off all of those unnecessities relating to the onion itself. So as we're peeling off the layers of the onion, we now come into the truth, and we come into the state of our perfection. Now, just looking at the divine body practice, the divine youth body practice that I've mentioned, you know, it's very, very important that we see ourselves as young. We see ourselves as beautiful. We see ourselves as perfect. All right, guys, I'm living proof this works. Okay, this is my 7th day doing the youth body practice. Okay, for a whole week now, I've been doing it. I have shifted tremendously just within that 1 week. If you guys don't believe me, go back a couple of weeks and seeing how I was. My face was very, very puffy. I was having the big frilly beard and all that stuff. I actually felt like I had a bit more wrinkles on my skin as well, too. So now, 1 week of doing the youth body practice, and, you know, I feel like I'm kind of like in my late 20s, early 30s already. So I feel like I've already taken off about 10 to 12 years of my life pertaining to that age. So this is something, like I said, we can all do. So many people have talked about the idea of the youth body, about being able to reverse your age, and many people believe it's through diet, okay? Now, don't get me wrong, diet certainly helps, okay? If you're moving into vegetarianism or veganism, yeah, you'll have some very, very shiny, smooth, beautiful looking skin as well, too. But what I'm doing is I'm intentionally eating good food and not so good food, okay? Because I'm demonstrating this. I'm demonstrating just purely through the power of consciousness of what we were able to do. Well, Brad, what kind of food are you eating? It's been chicken. It's been fish. Sometimes there's been snacks. I've had chocolate at times as well too. I've had some sugary stuff as well too, right? And I've done that deliberately. I said, no, I'm doing this deliberately. I want to see, right? I want to see the power of my consciousness coming together, and I'm going to demonstrate this. In other words, I ate whatever I wanted, okay? I was not putting myself on any heavy, strict vegetarian or vegan diet or liquid diet or anything of that nature. And that's not to say that you guys shouldn't do that. It's good that you guys are doing diets that, again, complement your being, right? We could have dietary wars, and we're not going to do that, right? You guys eat with whatever your body feels you want to eat, right? But I did this deliberately because I wanted to see, well, if I'm eating all this stuff, because I've done vegetarian diets, I've done vegan diets, I've done liquid diets in the past as well too, and I know how good they are. But I wanted to say, no, if I want to mix this up, I really want to put all this different type of food together in my body, because if I keep seeing that my body is perfect, my body takes care of it. And I've already seen that I've gone down a few pounds already as well too. I haven't been exercising either. I have not been exercising. I have not been eating right. Okay, so that's, again, examples here. And I'm doing that on purpose. I'm doing that deliberately, right? Because usually, yes, I'll exercise, I'll do yoga, I'll do a little bit of workouts, I'll go to the gym, I'll eat salads, I'll eat vegetarian stuff as well too. But not this time, right? I was very much into the living foods before I was starting the youth body as well too. Zeta says, Brad, have you seen a change in your physical abilities too? Is your physical body also feeling younger, more energy? I was just about to get to that. Yes, very much so. I'm actually getting up out of bed. I'm ready to do like those kip ups. Like when you're ready to get out of bed, you're almost like ready to somersault right out of bed. I get really energized in the morning. Usually like when my alarm clock goes off, I kind of peacefully rest myself for a few minutes and then I rise up. But as soon as I'm ready just to get up, my energy is soaring. Okay, vital body is going through the roof. I feel as rich in the vital body as I did when I was 20 years old, right? So that's exactly the result of the divine youth body, okay? So yes, as I was going to allude to, your vitality starts to spike up as well too. So again, all you're doing is you have that visual image, you have that memory, you have that photo, and you're saying to yourself, this is my divine youth body. And now I'm picturing myself right now, my first person perspective, as that 20-year-old version of myself. And I'm expressing myself as that younger version of myself, right? I started doing like somersaults on my yoga mat and all that stuff. I was getting just so full of energy. I was getting so much more vitalized. And like I said, guys, I'm not on a vegan diet. I'm not on a vegetarian diet. I'm on a mixed diet. Okay, I wouldn't even say that. I'm on mixed food, really, in the best way I could put it. But I wanted to do that to show you guys, hey, it's not always about diet, right? You can eat pretty much whatever you want, because what matters first and foremost is the power of your consciousness. And basically what I'm doing is, if you guys are following me on Facebook, you know that I'm doing this, okay? So I'm basically doing a 30-day demonstration with that. I'm going to be doing it a lot longer, past the 30 days, but it's kind of like a public demonstration for 30 days of saying, hey guys, do the 30-day youth body practice, okay? And this is what I'm just laying out for you guys. It's very, very simple to do. Where did I learn how to do this? Masters in Life and Teachings of the Masters of the Far East, okay? This is exactly where it came through. Now, I have heard other people talk about the youth body before, all right? But what Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East books do is they put it into such a great perspective, and they make it very simple as well, too. So I have a lot of respect for what Baird Spalding did, going to the East and talking to these masters and then bringing this information together. And it's so profound, all right? And so basically I have used their technique verbatim, all right? The affirmation that I just told you guys, that is what you can find in Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East, okay, in Volume 1, okay? And you can also find audiobooks. There's audiobooks of Life and Teachings of Masters of the Far East on YouTube. It's on Audible as well, too. So there's always an opportunity for you to check it out, okay? I would suggest just check out the first volume. If you check out any other volumes, great, but please check out the first volume, okay? that is profound. And I was reading this and like, this book is a frigging gem. It's a gem, man. It is a diamond. I love it, right? And it is by far my favorite book series out of any other book that I've read, right? Like I said, I love the Ringing Cedar series with Anastasia. I love the Law of One, right? I love Autobiography of a Yogi. Those are great books as well, too. But by far, Life and Teaching of the Masters of the Far East is the most profound book I have ever read, okay? So that's my plug on it. So again, that's all you're doing. Now, the reason why I'm giving you guys this example is because this is how you are demonstrating your perfection, right? You are seeing yourself perfect, which means if you have any animosity, if you have any flaws, if you have any mortal struggles pertaining to yourself, you're just bringing it into perfection. This is what the BCR technique does for you. You put yourself on so much of a high of love that you're able to instantly forgive all of those things. You're so high. You feel like you're just walking on clouds, right? You feel so perfect. And that's the idea. You bring yourself into such a state of perfection that everything that relates to the mortal world just starts to fall away. And I mean this very literally, guys. We have the ability to live forever in the body temple. Okay? Jesus was talking about this, right? Going back 2,000 years ago, Jesus was saying, the living bread that came down from heaven, he who eats this bread will live forever. And what he was talking about is the perfection teachings, the teachings of perfection, of being perfect. As he would also say, be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect. Okay? I also talk to God. I talk to the Father. I talk to Spirit. I'm talking to him all the time. I was having a conversation with him last night, right, about some wonderful things as well, too. Because I was talking to him about the physical and the causal, right? Like the Spirit was helping me to go up from the physical and the causal. He was actually starting to chuckle a little bit. He says, Brad, you call it the physical and the astral and the causal, when in fact it truly is all just one. It's just a matter of depth perception. Okay? Those are the words from Spirit itself relating to that. There is no causal plane. There is no astral plane. There is no physical plane. It's just one's depth of perception of how deep they're ready to go into it. So it's kind of like having binoculars on you, right? Now they're super powered binoculars, and you're going deeper and deeper and deeper into the depth perception of reality. And it is through that perception that we could call the causal, right? Because we're moving up into the idea realm. We're moving into the feelings realm, where everything's about a feeling. You feel perfect, and you become so in the causal. So that, again, is what the masters have done, is they have trained themselves since youth to imagine like they're a little spring. And that spring now starts to uncoil itself. You pick it up, and now it goes all the way up into the causal, or from Spirit says, it has a greater depth perception of life. Right? And now you stay up there. You stay up in the causal. And as you stay up in the causal, all the changes that you make in the causal, when you're ready to come back down again, stay with you. So you're actually feeling yourself in the causal, building your perfect body. So that can be everything, just in regards to what we stated about the divine youth body. Okay? Perfect hair, beautiful hair, eyes, nose, mouth, ears, abs, yes, all of that. Okay? That can all be possible there. And you're building it up in the causal plane. And now you're spiraling it back down. You're coiling yourself back down into the physical plane, and you take it with you. Okay? This is how the ancient masters were able to feel like they could teleport, right? They could basically be at the base of the mountain. One moment, all of a sudden you see them at the top of the mountain. Say, what the hell? How the hell did they get up there? And they just look at you and they smile, right? Like, okay, let's go, right? And they can also take you with them. Right? And again, this is also demonstrated in Masters of the Far East as well, too, is that they basically take you by the hand and saying, do you trust us? Like, yes, okay. They walk right through fire. The fire doesn't burn them, doesn't scorch them whatsoever. They alter their frequency. They move themselves into such a perfect vibration of themselves that nothing can touch them. Fire cannot burn. The walls do not contain them. They walk right through the walls. They can just basically appear 1,000 miles away and then come right to where you are within a matter of seconds, or perhaps even with instantaneity. They are there because it's all thought travel. They're just It's all thought. Everything that they're doing is thought, right? Walking through the fire is thought. Walking through a wall is thought. Walking on hot coals without being harmed is thought. It's all thought. That's exactly what they'll tell you. How do you do this? Thought. Huh? Thought. Okay, well, I'm thinking I'm walking through the fire and then I get scorched, because you are not using that thought to acclaim your perfect body, right? It's a thought of knowing. It's a knowingness. It's a certainty that you are perfect, that you are divine, and that you are able to accomplish everything past the mortal body, everything past the mortal life. Here in this physical body, we are going to have the mortal life, the mortal existence, the mortal reality. That's always going to happen. It's a dense reality. Now, if we look at it in the example of science, how do they say wormholes are created, guys? Folds between space and time, right? If I basically take a pen and a piece of paper, right? There it is, folds of space and time, and bringing yourself from one aspect to another aspect, vibrationally operating here, vibrationally operating here, right? And it switches. Well, that's all we're doing here. This all goes back into the quantum mechanics aspect as well, too, is the power of thought. When we look at a lot of the spacecraft in that way, they have thought-empowered devices. You basically sit in a chair, and it's powered by thought. And you can go into any particular point in space and time that you wish. To travel through space is to travel through time. To travel through time is to travel through space. But you're not even traveling through space and time. You're here, and then you're here. Well, this is exactly what the yogis, the ancient masters, have known for a very, very long time. And that's all that this technology pertaining to what we find on spacecraft, to what other star beings have used in that way. It's all thought. It's not even travel. It's not travel. Travel isn't the word. It's basically just appearance. We're here, and then we're here. We're there, and then we're here. Right? So you don't travel. You basically just appear. You're here, and you're here. Right? So it's instantaneity. So it's thought instantaneity in that way. We are all powerful manifestors in all realities. Well, the whole idea is that it's not even about seeing things as all realities. It's just seeing yourself as one reality, right? So when we are in the mortal realm, we are subjected to more so like the autopilot pertaining to the ego, right? So what we're doing is we are perfecting ourselves. We're clearing ourselves altogether, relating to any mortal thoughts that hinder us, right? Many of us may not believe it was possible for us to do the divine youth body practice. No, Brad, you gotta go vegan, right? You gotta really go in this. You gotta exercise a lot. You gotta bust your butt in the gym. You gotta do like running a lot. You gotta do a lot of jogging. You gotta eat all these carrots and celery. And you gotta just really get into the vegan diet, and then you'll get somewhere. No, haven't had to do that for a whole week, and look at me. Okay, like I said, you can look at before and after pictures a couple weeks ago of how I was looking, and now, right? Face was quite all puffy. And again, I had this big frilly beard and all that stuff. And I got my hair cut recently too. But and you're seeing how this transforms me. Okay, I am being the living example. It is not about feeling that you have to go into veganism or vegetarianism or work your ass off in a gym for you to look good, right? You look good with your thought. You look good with your intention. You look good with your focus. You look good with your consciousness, right? That's all it's about. That's how powerful you are. So you are correct when we say we are powerful manifestors. It's not even about being powerful manifestors. We are God manifestors, right? We are godly in that way. So when we completely support this idea of moving into a perfection, we now start to clear away the mortal idea, the idea of mortal thinking, the idea of mortal ideas, of putting ourselves in containers, of putting ourselves in tiny cubes where we barely fit. We're throwing all of that away. And what is the true key to this? Is getting to know God, is knowing that you are God and that God works with you every single moment. Goes back to what many people say, is that God is here, is as close to you as your hands and your feet are. It's as close to you as you're able to breathe. And when I was talking to Spirit last night, it said, I'm even closer than that. Right? So Spirit is always with you. God is always with you. The Mother, the Father is always with you. Doesn't matter what you call God, okay? One person may call God the Father. God's the Father. That's their personal relationship to God. It's valid, right? So I get people saying, oh, bro, what are you talking about? Like you're putting genders on God and blah, 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 blah. It's like, guys, you are building a personal relationship with God. Now, when you're building a personal relationship with God, you can call God the Mother. You can call God the Father. There's times where I call him Father. There's times where I call her Mother. There's times where I call God Spirit, right? It's all valid because that's my personability with the God within me, right? My God is your God is my God, etc. We all have the one God, but he is personable. She is personable with everybody, that you are able to have a dialogue with God, right? The idea of what it is to be Christ is one who knows God. And what did Jesus do? He talked to God all the time, talked to the Father all the time. He lived through the Father, right? This is why he was able to do all these profound things. Jesus never died, okay? Some people believe that he was buried in South France. No, he never died. He died on what we could refer to as the cross and then resurrected himself. He never died. He is a deathless yogi. You could see that. He's very much like what Mahavatar Babaji has been able to accomplish as well too. This is why Jesus, in that sense, transcends the idea of space and time. He can pop up everywhere. I'm sure there's a lot of people that are watching my channel and said, Brad, I've talked to Jesus. Yeah, I know. Me too. I've talked to him as well. And he can pop in wherever you want. He can talk to your soul, or he can talk to you in person, right? He just pops up everywhere. He has become a master beyond space and time because he sees himself as perfect, right? And that's the aspect of the Christ as well too, is a perfect being who knows God, right? So each and every single one of us has the ability to go through that. We may have our own upbringing. We may have our own cultural backgrounds. We may have our own understanding of how this is done, but all paths just lead back to the center, right? It's all coming into the center. It's coming to home. It's coming to source. It's coming to center. It's coming to God, right? All of us have this particular capability to perfect ourselves, and that's simply what I'm doing, right? I'm perfecting myself through life and getting out of the mortal forms, getting out of the mortal thoughts, telling me I can't do this, or this can't be done, there's no way that this can happen, etc. It's eliminating all of that from the nature of yourself, because it's all hypnotic programming. It's all hypnosis. We're trying to break ourselves more out of trance every single day by looking at certain forms of happenings taking place in the world, and all of a sudden we form an opinion about it. We have a belief about it. Now, there's a hypnotic trance for you. As soon as you go into belief, you're in hypnotic trance, right? Break yourself out of it. Come into the clarity of the moment rather than feeling that there needs to be opinion religions, right? So as I've talked about before, opinion religions, just another name for belief systems, but they are trance-induced programs. They're hypnotic. We're breaking out of the hypnosis relating to ourselves, and we're coming into clarity. And clarity is what's going to bring you into perfection. So like I said, you can uncoil yourself and go all the way up into the causal and build your body. Build your body any way that you want. You can give it a youthful appearance, 18 years old, 16 years old, 15 years old, and your body will reciprocate that. The only reason it's not is that the fault is within you. Okay, it's not within the ability of God. God is perfection, right? Whenever we say, oh, I've tried that, but I tried to do this, but that happened. However, this took place. Well, that's the problem right there. There's still part of you that does not feel clarity relating to that. And this is where I say clarity rather than the idea of belief, right? Where you say, believe in yourself. No, throw that away. Have clarity of yourself. Be clear of yourself. Have that complete and total certainty of clarity about yourself rather than belief, right? I've never been an advocate about belief. I'd say the more that you are able to completely clear all belief systems out of your life, the more perfect you'll become. We have the ability to be perfect beings because we are building a relationship with Spirit. We are working with God. We are children of the Most High. And everything now becomes available for us to look at. And God says, I created all of this for all of you. right? Everything that you experience here on this planet, everything that is within this universe was all designed for man, right? It was all designed for humanity, it was for mankind. It's for all of us, right? Why? Because we are God's ultimate creation. We are God's favored beings. He's favored us. She's favored us, right? That's how it is. That's why every other particular form of life on this planet is designed to serve man. When man is truly in that alignment, I'll say humanity, I'll say mankind, right? Whenever I say man, it's like, oh, Brad, you're going through a gender. Like, guys, no, when I say man, I'm meaning everything, right? Everything that represents mankind. It's short for mankind or humanity. But again, everything is completely centered around us, right? We are the ones that, again, have the most ability within ourselves to create like God creates. We create these things, we conceive of these things that God has not conceived of. God did not conceive of suffering. And mankind, my goodness, we're an expert on that. We're an expert on suffering, right? We created that. God did not create that. So why does God allow us to suffer? Because God didn't create suffering. Humanity created suffering, right? We created this. We got to get ourselves out of it, right? But we get help along the way. But we have to clear out that mortality. Suffering is the apex of the mortal form. It is the apex of mortal thinking, right? So we get out of all of that suffering debris. It's unnatural. God did not create this universe with any hint of suffering together. If it was, the universe would just basically blow up in itself, right? It couldn't sustain itself. It needs to be perfectly balanced. It needs to be in harmony. Therefore, as we are created out of God the same way, we can bring ourselves into balance and harmony. But again, that's something that we have to dedicate ourselves with. We have to commit ourselves to it, right? We have to know that there's things I'm going to give up. I'm going to give up a lot of things that represent this mortal coil that just keeps spinning around and around like a hamster wheel. And I'm going to give it up. I'm going to clear it away. And Mother Earth, as I've said, is so patient with us, right? She loves us very, very deeply. And like I said, I had an emotional moment just a couple of days ago with Mother Earth when I was talking to her. I was looking at her plants. I was looking at her green. I was listening to her, and she was just saying how much she loves us, and it brought me to tears. It just brought me to tears about how much she absolutely loves us, and saying, I would never destroy my children. I will never destroy them. Now, it's basically coming to the true understanding that Earth wants us, but she doesn't need us. We want Earth, and we need her. Without her, we don't live, right? So this is coming into the idea, again, of a story that I've shared, whereas that she sees a generation ahead that will never, ever harm the Earth. They would never even fathom of creating anything that would hurt their mother. And I said, it is through those generations that are coming where you are paving the road for that. You are going to produce the offspring, and your generations ahead are going to produce the offspring that is so absolutely compassionate to the Earth, they would never, ever think of ever creating anything that would harm her. That's what's coming, right? So you could say that we are on the right track. We're going exactly where we need to be, right? We get caught up in all these politics, and we get caught up in all this governmental stuff and this governmental crap. It doesn't matter, right? It's the idea of saying that is one tiny little branch upon the many branches of the tree of life. Don't give in to it. Let it fall. Let the idea of the governmental systems fall, because they are not following the coherence of true nature, of balance. Let it go. Put the love and appreciation towards your own life of where you want to go, and help others towards that as well too. And I get so many people saying, oh, bro, what about politics? And what about government? Like, guys, I don't follow that crap. I don't follow the whole political stuff. I don't care what they're doing. They're not in charge. For me to say I have to give my power to the politics is me saying, oh, they got the power to run everything. No, I say no, because that's a mortal form I'm clearing away. I say, no, I am directing my life, right? Yes, I pay taxes and blah, 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 blah. I don't care, right? Even goes back to what Jesus said relating to a coin, right? When he was holding up a denarius, and he said, here's Caesar's inscription on it. Give to Caesar what belongs to Caesar. Give God what belongs to God, right? And that's my mentality as well too. Government wants my money. Go ahead. I don't care. I bring it and it comes and it goes as it pleases. I don't care. I've completely made peace with that, right? You guys want to take a lot of my money? Go ahead and take a lot of my money. Money comes back. It cycles. It goes through. It's just a recurring cycle. It's a transition. It's fine. I don't care, right? And when you get into that mentality, you're free. All the shackles come off you. You're concerned about the politics. You're concerned about government. Shackles come off you. All you're doing is you're putting perfection into your life and you're spreading that perfection away around you, right? Think of a kind thought that you want to send out to the world today, right? What's a really beautiful thought that you can send out collectively, that you put your heart into and therefore send it out, right? It's just within your mind. To me, it's everybody holding hands. It's everybody giving hugs. It's everybody being supportive to one another. It's people singing. It's children playing. It's people being absolutely happy, knowing that they can do absolutely anything they want. And that's the kind thought I send out to the world. Was there anything in regards to that thought that related to politics? Not one. That relates to Trump or anything like that? No, I hope Trump gets blessed. I let him have the most beautiful happiness he could ever imagine, because there is no hell. Everybody goes to heaven, because that's all there is. There is no other space relating to the nature of hell other than what's contained inside a thought form, right? It's those thought forms that we create that is the suffering, that is the hell. Nobody goes into that unless that is what they decide to put their entire focus on. I will create this hell reality. Well, then you're inside that thought bubble, right? But when you burst that bubble, what is there truly? There's only heaven. There's only this perfection that exists. There is no place for hell, right? So we got to get off that nature as well too. The hell is a mortal concept, okay? Something that the church has used for a very, very long time to control people, to feel that, oh, we have to tell them hell because, hey, they'll obey us if we create some type of fear. Any time that you notice any particular type of fear in any religion, period, it is a control, hypnotic program, okay? Because they give you a consequence. Oh, if you don't do this, you're going to burn in the fires of hell. No, you're not. You're not going to burn anywhere, right? That person is on fire. That person is burning. And they want to throw all that at you and say, oh, you're going to do this, you're going to go to hell if you don't do this. I've never experienced hell one time in all the work that I've been doing, right? There has never been a hell other than the thoughts that you yourself create and you yourself put yourself into. Everybody goes to heaven, okay? Hitler went to heaven, guys. Napoleon went to heaven. Genghis Khan went to heaven. Everybody goes to the heaven, all right? It's only those people that basically contain themselves in the thought forms of their own misery. They stay in that bubble. But there's always so much support all around you in this life, in this physical world, and in spirit that is constantly encouraging you to pop that bubble and come into heaven. The elitists, guys, they go to heaven, okay? They are caught up in their own bubbles, and they're in their very much thought bubbles in that way, but they go to heaven as well too, okay? There's no reserved place. Oh, okay, you're a really bad person. You need to go to that little spot over there. God doesn't put you in a corner for you to pout, okay? That's how it works. We are all playing roles. We are all here to do something, to basically create a catalyst for a greater transformation that takes place, okay? So, again, we get very much caught up into the idea of crime and punishment. We get very much into the idea of an eye for an eye, a life for a life. And that is mortal stupidity, right? It's not how God created the universe. God did not create a timeout chair for you to go there and say, you've been bad. You sit there and you think about what you've done. No. When people are doing harsh deeds, horrific deeds, they're already going through their own punishment. They're already suffering through it. They're already going through their own hell based upon their own thoughts and their own beliefs that have caused them to commit such actions. They're experiencing that hell because it's through their own thoughts. It's through those own bubbles that they put themselves into, right? Their guilt becomes the aspect of their hell because that's what they put themselves through. And that's the nature of the universe. You can go and you experience whatever you want here. It's a sandbox, right? So I hope all of this sharing that I'm giving to you is starting to ring some bells here. But like I said, play with the perfection of yourself. Work with perfection. When you are perfection, everything within all of creation is yours, right? God is your parent. God works alongside you. God will help you every step of the way. You attain that power of God within yourself. You're able to walk on water. You're able to levitate. You're able to fly in the air. You're able to materialize yourself into interstellar space. And you can walk along interstellar space as if there's gravity there. You can breathe in interstellar space, right? You have that capability to do that as well too. It's all about how far are you willing to go? Are you ready to completely set yourself free and do these things that are so incredible that you did not think you could ever possibly perform something like that, right? Spirit also says that the idea of descendancy from heaven onto the earth plane is an illusion, right? We did not come up from here and go down here. Spirit says there is no up or down. Spirit says there is no causal plane. There is no astral plane. It's depth. It's depth perception about how you perceive everything around you right now. In this moment, me sitting in my chair is the highest God self of me right now. Right here, right now. And my body temple is an expression of that high God divine self. So where is there a descendancy? He's sitting in the chair with me right now, just as I am. Where is there a descendancy? Where is there an ascendancy? Where is there an up or down? There isn't. We did not descend from heaven. We are heaven. We did not come onto the earth. We are earth. We are this body. We are the God self. We are the highest epitome of perfection that we can imagine, sitting in the chair with you right now. So where has there been an up? Where has there been a down? That's an illusion, right? Those are, again, the aspects of compartmentalization that humanity has attempted to convey in regards to the state of example. We did not descend from heaven. We are heaven. We have always been heaven. We are the nature of heaven. We are not cut off. We're not cut off from the most grandiose, perfect aspects of life that we can imagine. It's all within us. It's all in here, right? Jesus says, kingdom of heaven is within you. So if the kingdom of heaven is within you, where the hell did an ascent and a descent come from? There is no ascent and descent because that's still trying to favor it from the outside. That's religious dogma. You did not descend. You have always been. You have always been the perfect self, and you come into the physical self. And it's like an accordion that keeps folding itself in and out, and in and out, and in and out. And you play with all of these different aspects of yourself, sitting here in the chair at the same time that you are. There is no descendancy. There is no ascendancy. It's just you tuning into different perspectives of yourself. Everything is here for you right now. Nothing has ever been the idea of saying, oh no, you're cut off from this. Psst. Who's cutting you off? It's not God. It's yourself. It's your beliefs. It's what you have put your energy and focus into to say, oh, I'm cut off. There's no way I can get up. I can't get up there. I can't go into my perfect self. I haven't earned it yet. I don't deserve it. Well, then that's why you're not there, right? Your own thoughts, your own mentality, your mortal thoughts, the mortal world is the very layer of the onion that you have put around yourself. You are your perfect self. If I was not my perfect self, I wouldn't be able to do the divine body practice, okay? Because I see myself in divine youthful perfection for this to now start reflecting on my physical body, okay? If I had to feel like I had to do some sort of big, gigantic practice, I needed to do 100 Hail Marys. I needed to bow myself and do a bunch of penance. 1,000 times over, I had to read a 100-page script of a prayer. In order for me to do this, it's a bunch of dogmatic nonsense, right? Get out of it. Strip it clean. Just be pure. Be clarity. That's what sets you free. Okay? What about karma? What about karma? What is karma? Can you guys tell me what karma is? What's the definition of karma? When we look at the idea of karma, what are we talking about? What are we talking about when we look into the nature of karma? Has anybody been able to look at the definition of karma to understand what karma is? Anybody in the chat? All right, you can go completely gung-ho about this. What is it that I'm talking about when I'm looking into the nature of karma? Okay. Anybody? I want a Jeopardy bell here. Ding, 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 ding. All right. Karma is action. That's all it is. Now, here is another delusion that we have been getting into ourselves. All right. Karma is action. Now, when a baby comes into the world, it is much more in the idea that if they have any particular form of dysfunction placed upon their body, it is because of thought forms. Okay? It is because of the thought forms of the mother, of the parents, of the surrounding environment that actually imbues themselves together into these particular levels of dysfunction. Because a baby is a sponge. They will take in everything. And a thought itself relates to the nature of energy. There is no filter. There is no defensive shield around a baby when they are, in that sense, coming out of the womb. When they're in the womb, right? Everything that the mother thinks, the baby gets. Everything that the father thinks, the baby gets. Anything around the environment that stimulates any particular form of negativity or dysfunction together, the baby gets. The aspect of nutrition or lack thereof, the baby gets. Okay? The baby comes into the world, and okay, maybe there's a deformation there. Oh my God, it's karma. Nope, not at all. Because tell me this, if we understand that the nature itself of karma is action, when that baby has not understood anything pertaining to the state of belief that would connotate a state of action, how could there be karmic debt upon that child? It's not possible. Okay? So, you are not under the influence pertaining to karmic debt because there's no such thing. There's no such thing as karmic debt. It is your own beliefs. It is your own thoughts. It is your own actions that is part of karma that determine exactly your alignment. But children, especially infants, are sponges. They will absorb everything. Everything goes in their mouth. Everything is absorbed into them. Someone's swearing, they look at that. And they do not shield themselves from it. Right? It goes into themselves. If a mother is cursing their child and making them feel upset, then that's going to go right into them. Right? That's going to cause dysfunction in the body altogether. It is going to happen in the womb. It's going to happen when they start to come through the birth canal. It is going to come together in their infancy. It is going to come together in their toddlerhood. It's going to come together in their childhood, because those are the younger years. And through those younger years, children are fresh to source. They are fresh to innocence. They absorb everything. Everything comes in. They take in everything. There's no safeguard. There's no antivirus. There's no firewall, right? They take in everything. And that, therefore, creates the aspect of any particular mortal-based dysfunction, okay? There is no karmic debt. You do not have any karmic debt to pay. You are only obliging yourself with the idea of all the thought forms and all the actions that you have given credence to. You've given power to the idea of your thoughts and your actions and saying, oh, it needs to be done a certain way. It has to be done this. Has to. You're your own worst enemy here. And you are your own savior at the same time. So, what I have learned from Spirit, there is no such thing as karmic debt. There is no debt for you ever to pay off, because that would be like you subscribing to the idea of a hell. Oh, okay, hang on, he did all these horrible things. We better put him in a corner after he dies, and he's going to go sit in that corner and think about what he's done, mister. All right? Now, if you believe that 100% with all of your heart, then something like that will come together, because that's you contained inside your thought bubble. So when I'm talking about the process of you looking at a hell, or the process of you looking at karmic debt and all of these other New Age beliefs, is no more different than the obscenity of religious dogma that you discover. Karmic debt is an obscenity. Okay? It's something that you create because you're the one that's writing it down. I've done this, I've done that, I've done this, oh God, this happened to me, it was horrible, blah, 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 blah. You create that list, which means you put yourself in debt, because nothing else is going to put you into debt. It's no more different than a person who feels that they're going to burn in hell. They live inside the container of that thought bubble. Therefore, you're living inside the container of the thought bubble of you having karmic debt, right? It's nothing but illusion. It's nothing but mortal fear. It's a mortal thought. I have karmic debt to work off, and so I can't do this. Well, you're basically just seeing yourself as a piece of crap, and you're just justifying that, right? Strip it all away and become perfect, right? You strip it all away, you become perfect. If that was the case, and if I had a bunch of karmic debt, you guys think I'm going to be able to go into a divine youth body? Oh, Brad, you got all this karmic debt. There's this, and you have this thing with the money, and this thing with relationships, and and I get caught up in that thought bubble because I feel I'm, completely stacked with karmic debt. It's papers, debt, 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 debt. It's as illusionary as fiat currency is. And that's what karmic debt is. We all know that really debt pertaining to money is a scam. It's an illusion. It's a falsehood. And that's the exact same thing with karmic debt. It's a scam. It's an illusion. It's a falsehood. All right? You come into perfection at any moment. Like I said, the divine, perfect version of me is sitting in this chair right now with me. At the same time, my physical body is being shown to all of you. And it's the same thing with all of you. Your divine, perfect God self is sitting right here, standing right here, laying down with you at the exact same time. So where the hell is there an ascendancy? There isn't one. It's about moving yourself past the mortal form, past all the garbage and all the debris and all the religious dogma and all the belief system and the new age crap that we have been told, and coming directly into perfection. And that's all it takes. It's the idea of saying, I'm perfect. I am perfect. I am capable of everything. I am the God self. The Mother, the Father worketh through me. And this, again, is what I've been teaching, right? Is when you work with the Mother, you work with the Father, you work with Spirit, and you clear all of this debris of the mortal life, you're free. You're completely boundless and saying, oh my goodness, it can be as simple as I want it to be, or it can be as complicated as I want it to be. It all depends upon me. It depends upon the person about what they are willing to let go of, because they put so much harsh chains upon all of them and feeling that I'm shackled to this belief. And they can be gigantic shackles, or they can be tiny little dinky shackles that you just blow off and now they're off you, right? It's up to you. You're the ones that are the gigantic cause relating to your liberation or your suppression, okay? There is no karmic debt other than you creating it, all right? So again, that's a good question, nonetheless. Okay, so I'm just going to go into some questions here now, guys, because I've been talking quite a bit. Joni says, hi, Brad, are you wanting to live on this planet for a certain amount of years? I just want to live on this planet. I don't care for how long I live for. That's it. I don't have a day. Oh, yeah, I'll live here till I'm 100 years old, or I'll live here until I'm 125. Don't care. I'm going to live on this planet and enjoy my youth, because it feels great to be in my youth body for as long as I feel fit. If I live till I'm 50 years old, hey, no worries. I'm going to work on uplifting the physical essence to myself as well, too. Because this is a body temple, guys. Again, a lot of the New Age belief is that, just leave your body behind and love and light, just go to spirit. No, this is God's creation. This is what God has given you. This is a perfect creation. And that is the body temple. And I give it love and respect. There's a lot of yogis in that sense that say they just want to get out of the body. They want to just go right up into spirit. And I say, why do you want to do that? This is something created by God. This is the most perfect thing there is. So why not take your body with you everywhere, right? Rather than feeling that you have to discard it like it's some ugly thing. Basically, by saying that, you're saying God's ugly, right? So I move into a state of pure health. I'm going to say health isn't the word now. Get that health out of there. I'm okay with that word, but that's not the power, I would say, really behind that. It's about getting into perfect wellness, perfect stability, perfect happiness, perfect well-being, right? Beautifulness, youth. Great. Those are what I like, all right? So we get into that. And like I said, this body is a gift from God. It was created by God. It's a perfect vehicle. It's a perfect body temple. Paramahansa Yogananda said that God's altar is the spine and the brain. All right. And again, this is what we do through Kriya Yoga, through different forms of practices, where we work together with the spine and the brain, the altars of God, to where we are now able to connect with God all the time. I had my Kundalini experience back in 2018. But you don't have to have your Kundalini experience to talk with God, right? It's just about the idea of knowing that you're letting God into your life, because God's always with you. He's as close to you as the nose is to breathe in and out, right? And even closer. So, no, I do not have a projection in regards to how long I want to live, because I don't care. I'm happy just wanting to be young and healthy. There I again, saying that word again. Young and healthy, right? I want to be young and beautiful and perfect and well-being and all that stuff, right? That's the whole idea. So I try to get that healthy out of the word. It's, I'm okay with the word, but it just doesn't suit with what I'm trying to align here with pertaining to the divine youth body. So I'm happy playing with the divine youth body because it feels good. And I do not have a projection of time for how long that lasts. It lasts for as long as it needs to last. And that's my answer to that question. Okay? Thank you, Joni, for your question. Our thoughts create our reality. We are what we believe spiritually and physically. You got it. It's so simple, right? And just don't let those mortal thoughts get in the way. Be true to yourself. Be true, have clarity. That's the key. Okay. Let's go down the list here. Talked about karma already. Law of one speaks 4D. Negative, it's like hell. Okay, well, what's the hell, though? Can you guys show me hell? Guys, go ahead and take a picture. Take a picture of anything that represents hell, and you go ahead and show it to me. Okay? What the law of one is saying is that people who are negatively oriented, that come into that particular dimension of fourth density, are contained within those bubbles relating to a much, much lower frequency, and that they actually feel like they're trudging through the mud. You see, it's not the density itself, it's the person. The person is trudging themselves into the mud because of their negative impressions of how they see life, how they see themselves, how they see others. And they're trudging in the mud. And because the fourth density is a different density above us, you could say, but really it's all here now. But on a perceptual depth, here's my dyslexia coming through. On a perceptual depth level, it has a bit of a lighter frequency from what we were looking at in the third density, right? When a person goes off into the fourth density, and let's say they're negatively oriented, what's causing that negativity, guys? That person. Is that density basically throwing the negativity at you? No. You're in your bubble. It's all the same thing, guys. When you go up into fourth density and you're a very greedy, disharmonious person, you like to manipulate people, etc., well, then you're getting a much more deeper trenching of those thought forms that you're putting into yourself. And this is where it feels like there is a hellish state, because you're in the thought bubble. Hell is a thought bubble. It's a thought form. It's your own emotions. It's your own beliefs. There is no physical place called hell. It's within you, right? So when that person pops their bubble, now they can move on into the highest extents that they can, right? This is what the law of one is saying. When they go into the negative, it feels more of a hellish perspective because of what that person is going through, because of the thought forms of what that person is going through. And they're moving into a much more of a lighter space, a lighter dimension, we could say. But like I said, everything's here and now. But going into that space and you're holding those particular types of thoughts and emotions, it's like you're trudging through heavy mud because you're not willing to let go. But even those that move into what we term as a 4D negative is getting help all the time by angels, all right? By guides, luminous states, by God as well too, helping them out to pop that bubble and come home, right? Nobody is ever discarded in the universe, okay? If that happened, we would have a horrible looking universe. It wouldn't even function properly. It would explode, right? It would just be a complete calamity, right? Everybody is helped. Nobody is left behind, right? When you look at the angels, when you look at yourself in this higher divine loving being, do you hate anybody in that moment? No, you don't. You love everyone. You could look at a serial murderer with blood running down their face, holding an axe, and you have nothing but love and compassion for them. Right? And if we can do that, let's imagine what God can do. So much more beyond what we can even fathom. No, nobody is ever discarded in creation. Everybody is helped. Does not matter how deep you plummet yourself into your own beliefs and into your own thought forms. You always have all of these guides that want to work together with you because they love you so much. They're not thinking of themselves. Whenever we think that we're playing together with the negative, oh, that person's negative, let's get away from them. That's you playing with mortal thinking. That's you playing with illusion. And that's you deluding yourself because you are withholding love, when that is exactly the very thing that helps people to uplift themselves, to move them into the state of perfection that they are. Always offer love. It doesn't cost anything. Okay? Let's keep going down here. Just going down the list here. Just looking for questions if there are any. And here's another thing, guys. Get over the idea of what you feel extraterrestrials are playing in your life. Okay? Doesn't matter. Okay? It's more so in the idea, what is the role that we're playing in other beings' lives? Because everything right now, when you are on the earth, in this body, in this form, in this life, you're the center of the universe. Everything else revolves around you. So, you guys have a love for Pleiadians. You guys have a love for Syrians. You guys have a love for Arcturians, right? I love Adronis with all of my heart. It's not about him, right? There's galactic confederations and stuff like that. Who cares? Right? It's the idea about what we are doing here on Earth, what we are doing together as a people is going to be rippling out. It's you dropping the pebble in the center of the pond and seeing these ripples happen. Do not feel that any civilization or extraterrestrial race is greatly responsible for our upliftment, because they're not. Okay? Do not feel that any other person around you, in your family, in your friends, bystanders that you come across with are responsible for your upliftment, because they're not. It's you, right? So, when we connect with ETs, when we connect with the Arcturians, when we connect with the Syrians, when we connect with the Pleiadians, when we connect with the Orions, etc., just different extensions of ourselves, because we relate to them in some way. We have some type of rapport that we understand through this life on Earth that we can reciprocate with them in some form. And that's all the role that they're playing. They are on the outer ripples of this pebble that you have dropped right in the center. And as soon as that pebble hits the center, that is you, representing your thoughts and your actions, rippling all throughout the pond. Okay? And all those ripples represent the catalysts of holographic reflections pertaining to you, of where you want to go, of who you want to be, and what you want to do. Nobody has jurisdiction over you. Get out of this jurisdiction mentality. You are sovereign. You are God. You are the one that makes everything happen. It's your own decisions. You're the one that makes up who comes together in your life and who's not there. Your choice, your decision as a sovereign, as a God self, as a perfect being. This is why, again, a lot of the ancient mystics don't even talk about ETs and extraterrestrials, because they are just like us. They're just like us in different ways. And if you're feeling guided to connect with them, go ahead. But you're only going to be able to connect with them through some type of rapport that you have here, from what you have learned from your Earth, right? And they're just different aspects of those ripples that came from the pebble coming into the pond, all right? So let go of the idea of feeling that anybody, whether it's human, whether it's extraterrestrial, whether it's extra-dimensional, or whether anything else, has a hold on you, has a jurisdiction on you. It doesn't work that way, all right? We are here on this planet. We hold the idea that connect with the Earth, because she's your mother. She's going to tell you everything, right? Because you are the Earth at the same time. Connect with her, talk with her, play with her, work with her. Work with God. God is the creator of all. Work with him, work with her, right? This is really what matters, because we can make our reality into whatever you want. Again, like I said, if you are a perfect being, you know that nothing is impossible. Everything is possible. You can go to different worlds. You can go to different dimensions. You can go to different realities. You can explore all these different dimensions while at the same time being here, right? I can't even put it into words, guys. It's so profound. It's so amazing, okay? Cody says, I understand that. I guess it's just exciting learning about the story of our extraterrestrial family and the space history we don't yet know about. Oh, of course. Of course. That's not what's being said, Cody. What's being said is just being mindful of jurisdiction. Absolutely. I love Adronis, right? Adronis is of Sirius. I love my Sirian family, okay? I've connected with the Octurians. I love them too. I've connected with the Pleiadians. I've connected with them. I love them too. Connected with the Lyrans. Love them too. But I do not in any particular way feel that they hold a jurisdiction over my life because I don't hold a jurisdiction over theirs, right? So what's being stated is, yes, and you can explore your space history. You can explore the fascination of their relationship together with you. But firstly, what you want to do is get yourself into that alignment so that you can make that happen, right? If anything is possible, that includes talking to your star family, looking into your roots. And it doesn't come through verbal language. It's all coming through this instantaneity of knowing, right? And you can get into that space. You can get into that state. You can make yourself 20 years old forever. You can walk all these different planes of dimensions. You can go right to Arcturus and start talking to them in your physical body and going right onto their planet and start talking to them, and they will welcome you with open arms because they're so full of love there, right? And you can sit down with them. You can have chats. It's exactly what Buddha and Jesus and all these other masters who've been able to perfect themselves can do. They talk to all different forms of family in all places, from what we can imagine and what we can't, right? Adronis does that all the time. He talks to everybody all the time, right? He's constantly taking his body and placing it into other aspects of being as well too, going to different planets and different worlds and different dimensions and just talking to everybody. And he's always greeted in loving ways, right? It's actually the idea that, when you go beyond this planet, there is not such a diversity as what you would experience on Earth. When you go to a planet like, let's go into one of the planets in Arcturus, you're greeted so much. You're just, there's like people with tears of joy that you're there. And oh my God, yeah, Brad, come sit down. Let's talk, right? Let's interface in that way. Absolutely. But they hold no jurisdiction over me. I came for a visit. Okay, bye-bye, Arcturus. So now I'm going to go look at Mars. Now I'm going to go look at the Pleiades. Now I'm going to go look at Jupiter and all that stuff. And I can do all that while my physical body comes with me for the ride, which means I am able to uncoil myself up into the causal and go and walk around all these different worlds. To another person, it would seem as if my body has disappeared for 1 minute and then comes back a minute later. Brad, what did you do? Oh, I spent years in Arcturus. I spent years on Lyra, talking to them all in the causal plane because they were receptive to that energy. And they'll go up to the causal plane as well too, and they'll start talking to me. Oh, Brad, you were only gone for a minute. No, I was gone for about 12 years. And I come back in this minute of time, right? And that's the idea of you being this traveler. And you can go anywhere, you can do anything. Like I said, it's the accordion, right? You're folding it in, you're folding it out. Okay? So, I think that'll be enough for today, guys. Actually, I think Maria has one question here. Question, is it bad to have a core group of friends who suffer from mental illness like alcoholism, autism, bipolar depression, PTSD, etc.? Is this opening oneself up to attachments? Okay, guys, let me tell you a little story, and Jesus told this story as well, too. Someone asked Jesus one time, why do you hang out with sinners and tax collectors? And Jesus replied, it is not the healthy that require a physician, but it's the sick. Right? Now, Marie, is that giving you an idea as to where I'm going here? So, Jesus hung out with sinners and tax collectors, right? And all these other people, and he helped pagans and all that stuff like that. So, why are you hanging out with friends who suffer from mental illness and alcoholism, autism, and bipolar depression and PTSD or PSTD, right? Because you're there to help them, right? Nobody in the universe is ever discarded. You're giving your love, you're giving your compassion to those people who are still caught up in their thought bubbles. And all you're doing is not trying to convince them of something. You're just giving them love and compassion. You're giving them a hug. You're welcoming them with great warmth. You are being this warm, loving person that is coming from the true, perfect self and helping everybody else. You don't have to give advice. You're just there to warm everybody up because it's your actions, it's your feelings, it's everything that you do that warms up that entire space and people come to you, right? And again, as Jesus said, everybody is welcome at my Father's table. Rich, poor, master, servant, sons of Abraham, and the pagans, right? Same thing. Let them come to your table, right? Let God be with you and just shine this warmth all around them. You don't have to say a word. It's the warmth that you have. Because a person that's going through so much trouble and saying, I want to go to Marie. She's so loving. She's so caring. She's so warm. She's so full of spirit. I want to be near a person like that. Welcome them in. Everybody who is labored and heavy laden, and I will refresh you. Okay? I'm speaking from Jesus a lot. But again, these are true teachings, right? I was raised as Jehovah's Witness. I heard these all the time. But they're true. They're absolutely true. That is the nature of a perfect being. That's the nature of the Christ, right? You are giving care. You are giving rest. You are giving refreshment to people who are labored by life. And you can share things if you are naturally being guided to do so, right? So you are living a beautiful life, sharing your warmth with every single person from every walk of life. And that itself is divine. So continue to do that, Marie. Okay? That's where you're being guided to. All right, guys. So Marie says, I meant to elaborate saying that these people are all educated and under or unemployed. Someone told me that I would never improve my life by hanging out with these people. Then that is nothing more than you buying into the fraction of a person's belief. Okay? I have been able to hang out with people who are unemployed. I have been able to hang out with people who are not educated or feeling in that way. And saying if I continue to hang out with these people, basically what this person is saying that is if you keep involving yourself with their dramas because you are feeling that drama itself together, right? Then you may fall into that particular type of category. But if you are uplifting yourself and if you work together in the greatest states of peace and warmth and love and happiness and harmony that you can, right? You're working with the BCR technique every day. You're lifting your energies up. That's the whole idea. We're not here to discard people, okay? You may need to go away for a little while so that you can uplift your energies and move yourself into a little bit more of a loving frequency, or maybe a lot more of a loving frequency, and then you come back to them, all right? And now you share with everybody. You love with everybody. Certainly, I mean, I've had those experiences as well too, where I've had to leave some people behind because I had to do some work on myself. I had to elevate myself. I had to lift myself up into higher states of love. But now that I'm there, everyone's welcome. You know, I'm not just talking to a bunch of New Agers. Right? With you guys here, there may be some of you in that sense saying, what's this all about? I haven't heard of this before, etc. Maybe new people here, and I'm talking to you right now. Okay? So it's not about the idea of you having to follow a flock. Okay? It's the idea of saying, be open to the world. Retreat when you need to retreat so that you can align yourself into the beautiful, loving, wonderful, perfect person that you are, and go back out through your door again. And now offer that love to the entire planet. Okay? All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and I think we're going to wrap things up now. Kat also says, what if you're a person who suffers from PTSD? But guys, why are you putting all of these mortal thoughts into yourself based upon what I'm saying to you? What have I said about the idea of mental illness, about the idea of these beliefs? They're bubbles. You're popping it up. You're popping them all together, and you're coming into alignment. If you feel you are getting too overwhelmed by a person that may have these particular traits, withdraw from them from a time. Go work on yourself. Take care of yourself. Uplift yourself in that way. Move into that love and into that harmony, right? But it does not matter what another person has. It's listening to yourself and saying, okay, maybe right now I can't deal with this. I need to go inside. I need to work with myself. I need to withdraw. I need to retreat. Then go and do it, because that's what you're being guided to. Okay? This is, again, what I've had to do. Like I said, there are times I've had to withdraw and I've had to retreat. And I've had to go to other places, and I've had to work on myself and uplift myself into the higher level. But then you go out the door, because now you're a refined person. You're renewed. You're transformed. Now you can go to those people with mental illnesses. Now you can go for these people who are labored and are heavy laden, and you can give them love. Like I said, you don't have to feel like you have to give them advice. Your presence is the soothing relaxation and refreshment that they need, right? For as long as you feel you can do it, it can be done. So this is helping you guys to look at things in a whole new way, because we follow the New Age stuff. We follow religious stuff. We follow all this other particular stuff of saying, oh, I'm supposed to do this. I'm supposed to throw all that out the window. Take all that gunk and chuck it away, and listen to yourself. Listen to where you feel you need to be. Your heart says, go withdraw yourself for a bit of a time. Go on your own for a little while. Start working on your love. Start doing compassionate things. Start lifting yourself up a lot more. Okay, I go ahead and do that. Several months pass. I feel really uplifted again. Good. Go back to those people who were once your friends and uplift them too. Great. Be there with presence. Excellent. So what are you doing, guys? You're not looking at something that belongs in a textbook. You're not listening to an expert on YouTube. You're not talking to any other person who's written some type of New York Times bestseller. All right? You're listening to yourself. You're listening to your heart. You can discard and accept whatever I share here. Right? It's not about me when it comes to you guys. It's about you. Listen to your hearts. Listen to you. And listen to where you feel you are compelled to go. Stop asking permission to other people thinking that's where I have to go. Know it within yourself. Be certain of it, right? And now you go and you walk that path, and everything becomes beautiful because you've trusted yourself. As long as you keep depending upon another person telling you what to do with the rest of your life, you are going to be a slave. You are going to be dependent upon another person, and you are never going to set yourself free. So it's no more different than just me having a conversation with you guys and say, yeah, Brad, I get it. I know exactly what I'm going to do. Great. Go do it. Awesome. That's it. It's conversational sharing here. It's really all this is. Like I said, you guys can throw it away if you want. Doesn't matter to me. I'm already living the life that's beautiful to me. It's time you guys did that too. Okay? Thank you guys. Thank you very much for joining me for this episode of the Inner Mastery Webcast. Again, Inner Mastery Webcast will happen again in 2 weeks. Next Monday will be the New Earth Teachings Webcast. Okay? And then I'll also be doing the New Earth Teachings Webcast again on Friday that week as well too. And then so 2 weeks, Inner Mastery Webcast again. Thank you guys. Be perfect because you are perfect. All right? Take care.